Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing the Stories and Tales tag. This tag was originally made by Chelsea and Books, and I'll link her video down below. And yeah, this is a fun tag. I'm excited to get into it. Alright, the questions are on my phone too. Number 1, tell a story about a book that made you cry. The only book on my shelf that I have that made me cry was The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks, and I bawled like a freaking baby in this story. It was so heartbreaking and so good at the same time. I think I was laying in bed and I remember I was reading it, I was reading it upside down in my bed like this, and I remember I had to I was looking at the pages, I had to stop and sit up, and I was just, tears just rolling down my face. I was just dying. It was so sad. Question number 2, tell a book that made you laugh out loud. This book, I'm gonna go with Rock Chick by Kristen Ashley. This book is so hilarious. It has seriousness and it has funniness, and it's just such a good story, and I love it so much. The humor in this story is so sarcastic and it's so funny, and it's just great. I also have another book for this. Another book that made me laugh out loud was Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. Rick Riordan is so funny when he writes. I also laughed in Lightning Thief too. It's also sarcastic humor. It's just my type of humor, and I love that. Okay, number 3, tell a story that you stayed up very late to read, and this is an easy one. I'm gonna go with Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. I have a sticker on it too. There's a story behind this book. When I was in 8th grade, me and my friends all read the Twilight series, and it was me. I'm gonna put my phone down because that's annoying. It was me and 3 other friends. We went to the midnight release party of this book. It was the most fun experience I've ever had. It was so fun. We made t-shirts. Mine said, I think it said Team Jasper, and then underneath it said, you should have seen this coming, Alice. I think that's what it said. I got so many compliments on it, and it was just such a fun night. It was so fun to be around people who love Twilight, and I had fun. It was a great night. But anyways, enough about the night. We had got the books at midnight, and they had dropped me off at home. I stayed up once I got it till 5 o'clock in the morning reading it, and then I got I don't know, probably halfway through, and then I woke up the next day. I read it from 11 to 11, I think. I finished it in one whole day. I mean, I slept too, but I mean, in 24 hours, I finished Breaking Dawn. And that was a huge accomplishment, and I was so proud, and I was so happy. And my friend, who was my best friend at the time, she was reading it at the same time I was, and she was a little bit faster reader, and she kept texting me have you gotten to this part yet? Have you gotten to this part yet? It was so much fun. I just had so much fun reading this book, and it was just such a great time. Okay, number 4, tell a story about a book you read with someone. This one is also going to be off the Twilight Saga. This book I'm gonna pick is Eclipse by Stephanie Meyer. If you want to know my story with Twilight, which probably you don't, but I'm going to tell you anyway, my best friend, who I was talking about in the question before, she wanted me to read the first book in the Twilight series, and I was in the 7th grade, I think, and I was in that phase where I'm like, no, I'm not going to read. Reading is for losers, and that's for geeks, and I thought it was totally stupid to read. When she handed me Twilight, I was like, I'm not going to read this. So I had it in my house for 2 months, and she called me up one day, hey, can I have the book back because I want to reread it? I'm like, reread a book? You're crazy, but sure. So I found the book because I thought I lost it. I found it, gave it to her. Her mom had went to the store a couple of days later and saw that Eclipse was out, and so she picked it up for Amy, and Amy came over that night that her mom had bought it for her. Amy was like, I'm so sorry, I'm just kind of really into this story, and I kind of just want to read it. And I was like, well, you don't have to stay here. I don't want to take away from something that you want to do. You can go home. I totally understand. She's like, well, what if I read out loud? And I was like, okay. So she started the book over again. She was probably, I don't know, halfway through, and she'd restarted the book and read it from start to finish. We read it in 2 days. We stayed up all night reading it out loud to each other. We switched it off and on. Once we were finished reading it, we kind of reread some parts that we enjoyed because we were both experiencing it for the first time. So then I was just like, this story is so amazing. I need the books. So I went to Target and I begged my mom to buy me the books, and they only had New Moon. So I got New Moon. Well, my mom didn't want to go to the bookstore to get Twilight. So I was kind of upset about it, so I started reading New Moon. I got a third of the way in, and then my mom came home from work the next day. She got me Twilight. And so when I first read the Twilight series, I read them out of order. The moral of this story, I just go on tangents, but the moral of the story was me and Amy read this book to each other out loud, and it was a really fun experience. I'd never read out loud like that before, and I especially never read a young adult novel, and it was just, this book holds so much meaning to me. This is probably my favorite out of the Twilight series, and then Breaking Dawn is a close second, but this one is just so special to me, and the story was just so, it got me into reading. Like this, I say the Twilight Saga got me into reading, but truly it was Eclipse that pushed me to read the story, and I just really like that. So okay, there's awkward transitions going on. This is gonna be a long video, I'm so sorry. Number 5, tell a story about a book you have given to someone. And I don't have the books in my hand obviously, but I had purchased the first 3 books in the Lux series to send to a friend because she lives in Louisiana, my best friend, and I want her to read them and maybe send them back. I'm not really sure. We're planning on moving in together, so at the time I was like, oh, it doesn't even matter if she sends them back, but it's taking a little bit longer than we planned. I sent it to her because I really love that story, and I didn't have anybody to talk about it. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, and I wanted to talk to her or talk to anybody. I don't really care. That's why I started BookTube also, but I wanted to talk to her about it, so I asked her to read them, and she hasn't really had time to read them yet, but she plans on reading them. And yeah, so she has the first 3 books in the Lux series. I have them on my Kindle, so I didn't have to buy them, but now that I have my bookshelves back in order, hopefully she can send them back to me if she's not going to read them. So Number 6, show an that is so hard. Show an inscription of a book. Oh God. You show an inscription you have in a book that was either written for you or someone else. And this is gonna sound a little bit crazy, but we're gonna go with it. The book I've chosen is called Pocahontas, and it's a Disney book. For my 3rd birthday, I got this book and a Barbie book, and it's an inscribed book, and it's from my parents. It says Sarah Jeanette Price helps Pocahontas find the missing headdress. That's the story. And then it says happy birthday from Mommy and Daddy 1997. This book basically is a story about me being inside the book. So it takes me as a character, and like they say my name and they interact with me as I'm helping them find something, the headdress in the story. Does that make any sense at all? I don't think it does. But it's a children's book, and it was inscribed to me, and I'm actually a character in the book, which is super cool. Number 7, tell a story of a book you will never get rid of and why. A book that I'll probably never get rid of, Vampire Kisses by Ellen Schreiber. I've read this book multiple times, and I really liked it. I liked it at the time. I wouldn't say that it's the most well-written book ever. The author is a comedic writer, and she kind of has this way of telling a gothic story and like a deep, like dark story in a more lighthearted way, and I really enjoyed it. I loved this book growing up. This was like the book that I read after I finished the Twilight Saga. I wanted vampires, and I wanted them now, and yeah. I'll never get rid of it just because it holds so much meaning to me, and I'll probably reread it, and the pages are about to fall out. The spine is so broken, but I just love it. I can't help it. I can't help it. I like it. I'm never going to get rid of it. Alright, and the last question is, let me pull it up on my phone, is tell a story of a book on your shelf that you have never talked about on your channel before. And I'm glad that I'm putting this out before I do my bookshelf tour, because I'll talk about every single book in my bookshelf, but one that I haven't talked about, I'm gonna go with Leaving Paradise by Simone Eccles. I don't think I talked about this on my channel before ever. This book is about Caleb and Maggie, and they were friends growing up, and they kind of, I think she had a crush on him or something like that, and one night she was walking home from a party or something, and he hit her. He was driving drunk and he hit her. They find out about it, and he kind of has spent his time in juvie, and she's kind of spent her time recovering from the accident, and she has a limp, and she has very low self-esteem issues. I mean, like very low self-esteem about herself because of the limp, and it's just a contemporary read about these 2 people who have heartbreaking pasts and kind of tied together, and how they just overcome it, or yeah, overcome it. That's what I'm going to tell you about this book. It's by Simone Eccles, and it's a really good book, and I really enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite Simone Eccles book, but it was still a great read. It was just one of those coming-of-age stories that a lot of young adult contemporary books are, and it was just very, very, very unique. It wasn't something I had ever read before. I think that's all I'm going to tell you about this book, but this is the book on my shelf that I never talked about. Okay, I think that's it for the tag. I've really enjoyed this tag. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm not going to tag anybody for this. I don't know if I'm going to. I don't know, I just tag all of you. If you haven't done it yet, do it because it's so fun and it's so cool to hear the answers to these stories, and yeah. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I really enjoyed making this. It was a lot of fun. Do this if you haven't done it, and I'll see you next time. Alright, bye guys.